Good evening, everyone. Once again, I'm Dr. Emmanuel Edu. This is Eretmis Cyber Chat, and we do this every Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. And I appreciate everybody's time for being here. Today is Friday night. You could have been anywhere else, but you chose to be here. So today's chat, I think we sent it out. We'll be discussing how to really break through the security industry or look at the different career options that are there when it comes to cybersecurity jobs, and predominantly in the six-figure space. So for anybody trying to break into cybersecurity, if you are not breaking into it with six figures or almost six figures, I think you are just like I always say, you just probably just don't like money, right? Because there's a lot of money to be made, and there's money there for companies to spend, right? So we are going to look at some of the tools and some of the job titles, some of the different career path that you can choose. And then we are going to open the floor for questions and comments and concerns and contributions as well. So we are starting off, like I said, I'm Dr. Emmanuel Edu. I'm going to be the only pilot for tonight. If maybe Sheila is here, she is probably going to look at the comments and read through that for us. So this is Eretmis Academy. We do this cyber chat every Friday night, like I said. And the goal of this is to help educate the community, help improve ourselves and develop ourselves in the cybersecurity industry, right? And for folks who want to get into the industry, also show you the path, right? So this is a little bio by myself. I'm a former United States Army captain. I'm the founder of Eretmis Academy and Eretmis Inc. Eretmis Inc. is a cybersecurity consulting firm. We're a QSA company based in New York, and we do everything else cybersecurity. The Academy is a cybersecurity training institute. We train cybersecurity professionals to become the best cybersecurity professionals that they can ever be in this world, right? So a little bit about myself. I'm also a former instructor at University of Maryland Global Campus and CTC. So before we move on, for Memorial Day, as a veteran, we thought it wise to extend or give some discount to our veterans, but then we are extending it to everybody else. So our Memorial Day discount or sale has started already. So for anyone who wants to take advantage of that, for any of our courses that we are offering, you can go ahead and do so, right? This is going to be, I think, till the end, till I think 30th, I think, but it has started, so that is a good part, right? So we are going to start off our discussion. We will first look at some cyber news for the week. I think for the last 2 weeks, we've not done cyber news because we were doing more of interviews. And then we will look at introduction to CyberSeek. I think for most of our folks on here who have been participated in a couple of cyber chats, you are familiar with CyberSeek. And then we also look at NIST Framework, which I think most people are not familiar with, right? And that is a very good tool if you want to really solidify your ground in the cybersecurity space in terms of career, in terms of training. This is one of the go-to frameworks. Most frameworks that we look at, we are just looking at the ones that are going to help keep our organization safe. But when it comes to cybersecurity careers, this is your go-to document, right? And then we also look at some six-figure roles, right? So we are going to begin with cyber news, right? So for this week, there are a lot of cyber news trending, but some of the ones that were more interesting for our discussion is what we have on here. So there is a ransomware called Checkmate that I think it came around 2022. Don't quote me on that, but I think that was when I first got to know of it, and I saw it in the news and elsewhere. Supposedly it's Russian affiliated. Don't really know for sure, but it has popped up again, and this time around they are quietly targeting file sharing protocols like SMB, right? And some of the effects of ransomware, obviously, for victims, financial loss, data loss, disruption of your business operations, and also damage and then spreading of the malware itself, legal and regulatory consequences. So if you have to stay in compliance with any framework or any of these compliance frameworks out there, and you fall victim to this, it can affect not only your cardholder data, customers PII and all that, and that can affect privacy and other things that will get you in trouble, right, on the compliance side. So this is also trending in the news. Just check out the Checkmate ransomware and learn more about it, right? So if you find yourself in any organization, or even now for your own protection, you can be on the lookout for that, right? And how you'll be able to learn more about how it spreads and how it really operates. Right now, we are also going to look at Facebook. So one funny thing that has, for the past 5 years, has been happening with Facebook is that there's a glitch, and this glitch, unknowingly to you, will send automatic friend requests to people on your Facebook profile that you didn't actively send those requests, right? So that makes it look like either you are, not necessarily stalking them because you are not actively doing that, but it's just kind of funny, right? You are just sending it randomly to people and you are not even aware, right? This is a glitch in Facebook that they are trying to fix. So also be on the lookout if maybe some people you didn't want as friends on Facebook were accepting your friend request, right? That is where it's probably coming from, right? So also kind of an interesting cybersecurity news for this week. Now, enough of the news. We are going to jump straight into what we are here to do today, right? So we are going to jump into CyberSeek, right? For all job seekers within the cyberspace, CyberSeek should be your go-to resource, right? When it comes to finding out what what job openings are there within your organization, within your county, within your state, and then also within the country as a whole, right? So we are going to jump straight into CyberSeek. No, we've talked about CyberSeek extensively here, and this is particularly for the United States. In other regions, there are similar products or similar websites out there that you can also use for research purposes. So we are going to jump straight to CyberSeek. So CyberSeek is maintained by Department of Commerce. So Department of Commerce is responsible for cybersecurity in the United States, right? And they've handed it down to different organizations, CISA, and then down to NIST and others who are actively working in the cybersecurity space, right? So, but ultimately, overall, Department of Commerce, they are responsible for cybersecurity. And the CyberSeek website is maintained by, not directly by Department of Commerce, but one of their agencies, right? And what they have on the CyberSeek website, so it's cyberseek.org, right? What they have on this website, they have in real time the demand, like the job openings in cybersecurity, right? And you can't find that anywhere in the States, but on CyberSeek, right? So this is maintained partly by the government, and actively they are updating the cybersecurity job market, what is going on, how many folks have been employed, how many job openings are there, education providers, and career path that you can take and all that. So we are just going to familiarize ourselves, and everybody, if you are not familiar with this website, you can go ahead and take a look at it, right? So when we keep talking about the demand for cybersecurity professionals is growing, we are not just saying that in vain or just making it up, right? So cybersecurity job openings as of today, as of now, in the United States is right here, 755,000, right? In 2020, it was 500,000. Now it has grown by 250,000 more job openings, right? So I think we had some videos in 2020 for most folks who have went through our cybersecurity, the cybersecurity for beginners course. We also talked about CyberSeek, and in that video, you would have seen that that video was recorded around 2020-ish. The demand for cybersecurity professionals was around 500,000, right? So if we say the demand is growing, I mean, this is your answer right there. It is growing. Now, in the United States, this is the job opening right here. Now, the total employed cybersecurity workforce is 1,100,000, right? Now, they still need over 700,000. And I think I'm assuming by the end of the year is probably going to hit 800 plus, right? So the demand is only going to go up, right? When people ask or they are skeptical about, is cybersecurity like a career path for me? Like, is there a growth in cybersecurity space? It's just like you saying, is crime going to go down? So are we going to reduce the number of police, folks on the police force? The crime is always going to go up. And now it's easier to commit crime on the cyber side than, in person, right? So if you want to rob a bank, if you want to go the old fashioned, go to the bank, steal the money, there's a lot of logistics and planning involved. But if you just want to bridge their network and try to, cash out, you'll be able to steal more within less time at the comfort of your home, drinking coffee, right? And sometimes, or almost all the time, it's almost impossible to trace the money and go get the money, right? So now cybercrime on the rise, not coming down anytime soon. So the demand for people to really protect what we have in terms of assets and infrastructure is also going to go up. So now let's just familiarize ourselves more with this website. So if you scroll all the way down, it gives you the national cybersecurity job openings, and then also it gives you the supply and demand, right? So the supply and demand here, the demand, the supply obviously is low, the demand is high, is 68% national average. And then if you come to the geographic concentration, it's also 1.0. And I think they do comparison with other industries as well. So you'll be able to, like if you come down here, you'll be able to go through that also. Now let's look at the map first, and then we'll look at other aspects of this tool. Right, so for the map, if you come over here, whichever state you are in, if you just put your mouse over it, it's going to tell you, or it's going to let you know the number of job openings in that state, right? So if this is the very first time you are seeing this, this is a very good tool that is going to help you to see exactly the number of job openings in your state. And if you are looking to relocate, right, but you want to pursue cybersecurity career, depending on how you look at it, whether the glass is half full or it's half empty, if you want to go to a state that has less job openings, you think that might be a good thing, or you want to go to a state that has more, because I mean there will be more for everybody, either or. If you come here, you'll be able to see how many job openings, for which state, and which state employs more cybersecurity professionals. I think the DMV area employs more, but there were, okay, so Texas, 73,000 job openings, Arizona 19, California 81,000 job openings, Nevada 6,000, Utah 9,000, and the list keeps going on. So for Virginia is 60,000, for Maryland is 26,000. For Maryland, I frankly think for Maryland, I suspected it was going to be more, but okay. And North Carolina, okay. New Jersey, 17, Connecticut, 7,000, Massachusetts, 20, Vermont is 3, New York is 31,000. yeah, so the list goes on. Now you can come here and play around with this. Now, the good part about this also is it's not just by states. You can narrow it down to your metro areas, right? So you can bring it down to even within the states, look at the different metro areas. So you can really bring it home, very close to, wherever you are living, and you see exactly the number of job openings, right? So it's good for you to play around with this to see really what is going on within the area you are living in. And then also, if you want to make an application, or you are looking for jobs that are either in person or out of state, you know exactly how to go about it, right? So if you are looking for jobs that are out of state, or the jobs that are remote, you could work from anywhere, right? So if we go to the States, obviously, just by simple logic, not necessarily, I might be wrong on this one, but I am assuming that states that have more job openings will have more remote job openings. That is just my assumption, right? Maybe that is not the case, but the point that I'm trying to make is, if let's say you are in Maine and you are trying to get a remote job, right? Although there is 3,000 job openings, but your best bet, you'll probably be able to get some in Texas or California or anywhere else in the States, right? So that was just my little assumption. Maybe that is wrong. So now let's come down here and see what they have here too as well. So they have a list of some of the top cybersecurity job titles, right? This is not by any means all of it, but some of the popular ones, right? So security analyst, a very big one, most popular. Software developer, not necessarily cybersecurity role. I wouldn't say it's a cybersecurity role necessarily. Pen testing and vulnerability testers, yes, cybersecurity role. Cybersecurity consultant, yes, a cybersecurity role. Network engineer, not necessarily a cybersecurity role, but they do some security stuff also. Cybersecurity manager, obviously a cybersecurity role, and senior software developer and systems admin. These are not necessarily cybersecurity roles, but they do have some, cybersecurity activities that they do that is the reason why they have been listed here, right? Or you might be in this role with, some additional duties as a cybersecurity professional, right? It happens like that. You might, be doing one thing and then have some additional duties also as well. So that is why they might have this here. Now, when you come down here, it has certification holders and openings requesting certifications, right? So it has listed some of the popular cybersecurity certifications on here. It shows you how many people have that certification as of now, and which openings were requesting that particular certification. So we are just looking at certification holders now. For Security Plus, there are almost 200,000 folks who have Security Plus. For CISA, for CISSP, 94,000. For GIACS certifications, I think it's all of them combined. I might be wrong. It's 80,000. I'm surprised there is even that much, because the GIAC certifications, GIAC certifications are very expensive. Mostly, I think they are pushed by SANS, but they are more very expensive. I know some of them, they are pen testing certifications. Some of them are like 8,000, 9,000 a piece. Okay, so let's move on now with CISA. Only 37,000 people only 37,000 people have CISA, right? Now with SIM, only 19 will have it, and with CIPP. So CIPP, maybe for most folks, CIPP is not very familiar, but CIPP is one of the popular privacy certifications that are out there, right? That one also has 7,351. So this is by no means all the certifications that are there, but some of the very popular ones. That is why they have it listed here, with the number of people who have the certifications in these, within these, like the number of people who have the certifications, these certifications within the industry, right? Now let's go to openings requesting certification. Now, job openings that are requesting CISSP, 134, ones requesting CompTIA, 101, requesting CISA, 87, requesting any of the GIAC certifications, 57,000, SIM 55, CIPP is 5,000, right? So now you can also get some insight from here. Now let's go to the last item on this page, which is job openings by NIST Cybersecurity Workforce Framework category. So we are going to look at this later on, but for educators, job seekers, industry players, this should be their go-to when they want to post a job. Whatever they have in the job description, it should come from the Cybersecurity Workforce Framework. And I'm very sure most folks on here and most folks within the cyberspace, some are not even aware there is a framework, an actual workforce framework, cybersecurity workforce framework for the industry, right? And this is by NIST, right? So we will look at the framework here a little bit, but let's look at this first. So NICE, is, I think, is the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education, right? It's also an organization set under the Department of Commerce, right? So for folks who have taken either our cybersecurity entry level course or our cybersecurity for beginners course, the free course, we talked about the NIST, the NICE workforce framework, and we talked about the different categories within cybersecurity, right? So these are the major, like the main categories within cybersecurity. I know people will just jump into, oh, I just want to go into GRC, or I want to go into maybe ethical hacking or pen testing side, I want to go into this side. All of it have been grouped into 7 major categories, right? And the categories are operate and maintain, oversee and govern, protect and defend, securely provision, analyze, collect and operate, and investigate. So whatever you are doing within cybersecurity falls within one of these major areas, right? Now, you've seen that the job openings that we looked at here, the 700,000 job openings, over 700,000 job openings, they have it broken down by the major areas or the main categories within cybersecurity, right? So the main categories under operate and maintain, they have 500,000, over 500,000 job openings. Under securely provision, they have 481. Under oversee and govern, they have 357, and the list goes on. Right now, somebody might be asking that we have only 700,000. So why do we have 525 here and then 480? So a job that will fall under operate and maintain can also fall under securely provision. So that is why you have it like that. So it's not like if we add all of it, it's going to add up to 755,000, right? So some of the jobs, they overlap, right? You can be doing this job, and then you also fall under a major category, under maybe analyze or under investigate, you know, and all that. But out of all these, investigate is always the one with the least job openings because it's the smallest within the space, and not necessarily because it's the smallest, but you can look at it from maybe it's harder to get into that space than to get into other areas, right? So you might also want to look into this, right? Now we break this down in the entry level course, and also I think we break it a little bit down also in the job, in the cybersecurity for beginners, the free course as well, right? So this is everything on this page. We are going to look at this extensively when we look at the framework itself, the workforce framework itself. Now let's go all the way to the top again. So still on CyberSec. Now we will go to career path, right? On here they have career path that they have set up also. So we will just jump straight into career path. Now with career path, they have a list of some of the cybersecurity job titles. This is by no means all of it, but at least it's a good starting point for you, right? So they have some feeder roles. So the feeder roles are simply normal IT roles that you might find yourself in, or IT roles that can lead directly into cybersecurity, right? So they have networking, software development, system engineering, risk and financial analyst, security intelligence, and IT support. Please mute yourself. All right, so these are, roles that you can easily jump from to directly into cybersecurity with some little training, right? And within cybersecurity, like within any other field, we have entry-level roles, we have mid-level roles, advanced roles, so either mid-level or intermediate roles. So under entry-level, we have security specialist, cybercrime analyst, incidents and intrusion analyst, IT audit. So these are not by any means all the titles within the entry level. There is obviously more, but at least they have to, start off with something, right? So when you put your mouse over, let's say cybersecurity analyst, it shows you the job openings as of now, right? That is 10,000 plus, and the average salary for an entry level role with the job title, cybersecurity analyst, is 107, right? So this is not only giving you the list of job openings within that space, but also an average salary for that role, right? So for when we talk about, 6 figures, landed your first 6-figure job, we are not just saying it for saying sake. Dr. Edu didn't design this, or is not the one updating this website. This is done by an independent body that works for the government, right? So if they say it's 107, you can start off with 107, and we've done it over and over and over and over again, right? So we know what we are talking about. Now for cybercrime, the average is 100K, and they have 849 job openings. For incidents analysts, the average is 89. It starts with it has an average of 9,000 now, and IT audits, if I scroll all the way to the bottom, it also starts with 111, right? It has 8,000 job openings. Now, like I said, these are by no means all the job titles in the entry level space, right? In the entry level, you can still find cybersecurity analyst roles. You can find cybersecurity consultant roles. You can find pen tester and vulnerability tester roles, right? So mostly don't really get too hung up on job titles in cybersecurity because you can be a cybersecurity analyst in one company. What you are doing will be totally different from another cybersecurity analyst in a different company. You can be a cybersecurity analyst or consultant in one company. What you are doing will be the same thing that somebody who is a cybersecurity specialist is doing in another company, right? So the job titles, they are just job titles for the most part, right? So now when you also put your mouse over it, it shows you from cybersecurity specialist which other job roles you can jump onto at the mid-level or at the intermediate level, right? So you can transition into you can transition from a cybersecurity specialist to a cybersecurity analyst. You can transition into a cybersecurity consultant, pen tester, right? And there are more roles here, so you can transition into more, other roles, not just these three, right? But like I said, they just have to start off with something, right? And same thing. So, like what we did for these ones is the same thing, right? If you put your mouse over it, it shows you which roles you can jump into on the advanced side, right? Which role, and then also it shows you the average salary. So as you can see, somebody who is an IT auditor at the entry level might be making more than somebody who is intermediate level cybersecurity analyst, but that shouldn't always be the case, right? If this is the average, if you are at the intermediate level, it means you've been working for a while, right? So if I've been working for more than 2-3 years, I wouldn't be going for anything less than 110, 120, right? We have students who start with 130, 140. So if you've been working for 2 to 3 years and you know what you're doing, I'll go for something higher, right? But this is the average. So by no means saying that is what you have to take. Frankly, for me or for all our students, regardless of where you find yourself, I wouldn't take anything below 100. Right? That should be your bar. You shouldn't take anything below 100. Now, granted, some people will say, but I just want to get my foot into the door. Yes, obviously, you want to get your foot into the door, but they have money. There is money, budgets allocated. I doubt if any company, has any cybersecurity role that they budgeted less than 100K for, right? They wouldn't tell you. They will probably post it that they're going to offer 80. If you take 80, they will give you 85 or 90 because they are nice, but you just save them almost like 40 grand on the backside, right? So just have that at the back of your mind. There is money to be spent. So ask for what you think you deserve, which should be more than 100K, right? Now let's go to skills and certifications. So with these roles, we are going to jump straight into skills and certifications. So with the skills and certifications, they have it broken down where they have certifications, they have job titles, and then top skills that you need for within that job title, right? And they have it color coded also for entry level, mid-level, advanced. So if you look on here, it has those color codes as well, right? So now if we come to, let's say, security engineer. So on the left side, you see the certifications that you need, right? Not all of it, but at least if you want to be a security engineer, these are some of the certifications that you must get, right? And even that is not set in stone. You can be a security engineer with no certification. So don't get also too hung up on certifications. Your goal should be to know what to do as a security engineer, not just to have a certification. So if you have the certification, it's a plus, but you should be able to have the knowledge and skill to back the certification, right? Now, on the right side, we see the top skills that you need to be able to function as a cybersecurity engineer, right? So the list, this is by no means all of it, but at least we have to start from somewhere, right? So we have information security assurance, security operations, cryptography, risks, threats, authentication, network security, NIST Cybersecurity Framework, and the list goes on. There is way more that you need to know in terms of skills that you need to have in terms of skills to be able to function as a security engineer, right? And on the left side, they have CISSP, CISA, SIM, Security Plus, and they have the GIAC certifications. And when we come to analysts, so analysts, okay, let me just go back a little bit. Now for the security engineer, if you can see the colors, right? The colors shows that is an advanced level, right, within the cybersecurity career space, right? If you come down to security analysts, so for security analysts is intermediate. Now, this is not to say there are no entry-level security analyst roles or even entry-level cybersecurity engineer roles. So they are entry-level. Those ones you see cybersecurity engineer junior, right, or something of those nature. And the same time you see if they don't have like junior to it, it will be cybersecurity engineer. And then for the advanced, it's going to be senior cybersecurity engineer, right? So, but I think everybody gets, the point that I'm trying to make. The job titles, they can be in any of those different levels, right? But here we are just looking at it from what they have. So for intermediate pen tester, these are some of the certifications that you need. And then also on the right side, the skills that you need. So you can go down the list all the way down. And I think this is a good starting point for everybody to look at, right? So now let's go to some of the places that you can find. So education and training providers. So if you click on that also on I think that is the last thing that we will look at on CyberSec, right? So regardless of wherever you are in the States, there's a whole list of training institutions within the cyberspace that you can take your education from, right? So by state, you can search by state, or you can search by school, directly. So if we search by school, my keyboard should be working. So let's search Eretmis. Eretmis is on here as well. So this is all that we are going to discuss when it comes to CyberSec. It's a very good tool, right, that everybody can use, and it is a place that you start learning more about career path within the cyberspace, and then also you get to know the demand for cybersecurity professionals within your state and all that, right? So with Eretmis being on here, we are going to move on to other things that we are going to look at tonight, right? So any questions on this before we move on? Oh, okay, Jason. Okay, we will address everything within the chat as we are moving along. So let's move on then. We are going to look at the NIST Workforce Framework, right? Which I think everybody should go take a look at. It's a really good read, not really much, very simple tool to look at. So let's pull that up here shortly. All right, so this should be the go-to document for students, educators, and employees, right? When it comes to cybersecurity jobs, this should be the go-to for them. But I don't think everybody knows about this. So you are lucky. You are getting to know about this way ahead of everybody. This has been around for a while. For Eretmis, we've been talking about this for a while. But this is NIST 800-181, right? Is the workforce, cybersecurity workforce framework, or workforce framework for cybersecurity. Even we will let you ask your question here. Let's go through this first, right? So this is not really much of a really big document, but this document will really break down cybersecurity in terms of the categories, in terms of the job roles, and what is required in those job roles, the skills and knowledge that you need to be able to function in any of these job roles. So we will just scroll down and I'll just touch on a few things, and everybody can just go ahead and download NIST 800-181, right? So I'll touch on a few items here and then we will, but before I do, I think they have a lot of, okay. So I'm just going to go with the table of contents and just briefly touch on certain things that are in the main document. So with the NIST framework, they are building blocks. This is where, you know, they came up with. So okay, let me just give a little background to why NIST came up with this framework. So up until maybe my dates are going to be a little bit off, but I think they came up with this around, they started around 2012, 11, 12, 13, right? They finished this, I am thinking, I thought it was around 2015, if I'm not wrong, right? So reason for this was that when cyber attacks became very common, right? And the corporate side was running to academia to give them experts in cybersecurity. They were not there, right? The government was also running to academia to get experts within cybersecurity. They were not there because academia was training IT folks doing software engineering, computer science, and everything else except cybersecurity. Now, networking folks were doing some security, little bit of security. Software was doing a little bit of security, but there wasn't, you know, one person that we could say, okay, this is a security person, right? All he does is security across board. So academia was failing a little bit on that side. So it came down to industry players and companies like Eretmis that were, organizing boot camps and training folks to, get into the security space. Now, the government thought it wise to ensure that this doesn't happen again. And what I mean by this is the talent gap, right? The talent gap that the government found themselves in is not going to happen again. So what they did was they commissioned NIST to come up with the cybersecurity workforce document, where NIST conducted an extensive research, and how they came about with the 7 major categories within cybersecurity was that they compiled all the job roles within cybersecurity, right? All of it. And they grouped it into, they tried to categorize it or group it into different areas based on what they did in those job roles, right? Based on interviews that they did during their research. So people they interviewed in those job roles, what they did. So they were able to really group all of them, and they came up with the broad 7 main categories, right? So that way, every job title or wherever you find yourself, you are in one of those. And after that, they came up with specialty areas. So even within the category, they have specialty areas, right? And the specialty areas, they are all discussed in this. And within the specialty areas, they have the job roles. So the job titles within those specialty areas. And under the job titles, they have the knowledge, the skills, and the abilities you need to be able to function in those job titles, right? So it's a pretty cool setup, and it really makes sense if you're able to follow and, trace like the hierarchy from the main category all the way down to specialty area to the job role, and then the knowledge and skill you need to be able to function within that job role, right? So for this framework is, like I said earlier, they came up with this also in part to be able to start educating, elementary and 5th grade, 4th grade, like all the K grades, right? Especially, I think now their main focus is on K-12 or something of that nature. But to start, catching them young, that way, by the time they are ready to go into college and, or if they just finish high school, they've developed that interest, they can go directly into security, right? So the government, their goal or their plan was to make sure that that talent gap that they found themselves in, that is not going to happen again. So that is why they came up with this. And now also there was no formal document. I think the United States is the only one that has done this, right? Outside the United States, I've not come across any formal document that is trying to categorize all the major areas within cybersecurity and also group job titles and make specialty areas and also define the knowledge and skills you need for specific job titles. This is only NIST that has done this, right? So they did this to make it easier and to make it make more sense, because before this, everybody was doing their own thing, right? So you can have a security engineer who is doing the job of probably like a network engineer or something, everybody was all over the place, right? Now they have really made it, streamlined it and made it more formalized, right? So the goal with this framework is that if an employer is looking for a security analyst and they don't know exactly what a security analyst is supposed to do, they have to come to this document, right? Look at the knowledge and skills that is needed for security analyst, and that is what they are going to use to post their job, to use to use for their job description, right? If you are an educator and you are training people to start working in the cybersecurity space, and you want them to, be able to work as a security analyst, what are the skills and knowledge and abilities they need? You come to this document, you're able to get that. So you train them, you develop your curriculum around that, and that is how you are going to train them, right? If you are a student or you've completed your cybersecurity training, you are looking for a job, this is also a good tool, because depending on the job title you are looking for, or the groups of job titles that you think you want to work in, you have to also be able to identify the knowledge, skills, and abilities needed. And this is a good place for you to come and get it, right? So this should have been a very easy, way for all of us to, be on the same page, but it's not the case really in practice. We are still trying to, or when I say we, everybody within the industry, still trying to, use it and learn and, make it what we are all using, or like the go-to framework. But when it comes to job posts or job postings, most HRs, they don't know this, even like this framework is even there, right? So all they do is copy and paste from each other. That is why you have some job posts that will have something totally, different from what you're going to be actually doing on the job, right? Because they have to post they have to post something for security analyst. They had no idea, but they had to just copy from what somebody had, instead of coming to this document and, knowing exactly what is needed and adding to it or taking from it based on the company's needs, right? So everybody will eventually, come in terms of everybody, in terms of people seeking for jobs, employers looking for security folks, and then also educators. Eventually, people are getting to know this framework bit by bit. So everybody on here, if you know it, you also have to share it. That way your friends looking for a job, or friends who are employing, or educators, they can go off this and use this framework as well, right? So if you go down the list, it's going to show you exactly, what everything is about. So, and also they talk about competencies. I know in the entry level and also in the free course, we talked about competencies as well. And they talk about tax knowledge and skills. So TKS, I think first it was knowledge, skills, and abilities, right? But they've added tax. I think tax knowledge and skills was still there in the old. So this is the like the original one. They are trying to come up with a newer version, but it's still based on this that they are building. So this is the building block for the new framework that they are bringing up. It's just an improvement on this, more refined with new stuff that they are learning in the industry, right? So I think this, for if everybody goes through this, I kind of explained almost everything that this will cover. So if you go through this, you'll be able to take time to really, understand exactly what is required in this framework, right? So if there are no questions on this framework, I think everybody should go look at this first before maybe in our next cyber chats, you can ask your questions on this. Or if you're already familiar with it, you can also, ask any questions that you want on this before we move forward. All right, so we are done with.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Elise.
Yeah. So so regarding this NIST NIST, I mean, it's a framework. Pretty much, it tells you what to do as far as, like, let's say a company has hired you as a risk analyst or something, so you have to follow the NIST. And does the company make it like they take from it, or they literally follow it to the T? And that's like, as you are analyzing or doing your work as a cybersecurity analyst, you use that to because I'm trying to figure out where does this come from? Like, why do we need the NIST as a? You might have said it, but I don't know. Maybe I missed it.
Okay, so
as like a cybersecurity analyst.
Yeah, with this we have to be specific, right? This is NIST 800-181. NIST has a whole catalog of frameworks, right? So if you just say NIST, we are not really saying anything, right? So what this is supposed to be a guide for employers, a guide for students, a guide for educators. So if you find yourself, so let's say, for example, there's a job role, cybersecurity analyst. This document is going to give you a list of what you need in terms of knowledge, skill, and abilities, right? So it has the tax, it has like a list of tasks that is supposed to be performed by, let's say, a cybersecurity analyst, right? And then it has the knowledge and skills you need to be able to perform that task.
Oh, okay.
Yes, but actually doing the job is going to be on you, right? So, for example, if let's say you want to be a bus driver, if that was, this was about driving, you want to be a bus driver, or you want to be an Uber driver, or you want to be whichever, driver you want to be, there are certain tasks that you have to do. So for a bus driver, you have to be at different stations at different times, right? So for you to be able to do that, you have to have a certain knowledge, skills, and abilities, right, to be able to do that. Now, that is not going to be the same for an Uber driver, right? So now, but when it comes to actually driving the bus, and this is not going to be the one telling you how to drive, right? So hopefully that makes sense.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Ebenezer, go ahead. You are muted.
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, so I wanted to find out, talking about working remotely, assuming you are out of the United States and you have the cybersecurity skills and you want to tap into the market, is it possible to do so outside the United States?
So if I get you correctly, let's say you live in the Bahamas, right?
Yes.
You are not a United States citizen or a permanent resident, but you want to work in the United States remotely.
Yes.
Okay, it's possible, but when it comes to working anywhere, you need work authorization in that particular country to be able to work, right? So if you are not a citizen in that country or a permanent resident, or you don't have any permissions to work in that country, the company you want to work for can sponsor you to give you that, apply for that permission for you to work in that company. So you can go through the company that you that you want to work for, and they might be able to sponsor you to work. But working remotely doesn't really change the requirements like you are working physically in that country, right? It's just, you are not just going to show up in person, but nothing really changes. Everything in terms of documentation and in terms of work permissions and everything applies.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, so now we are going to jump into some of the job titles and look at them also from what really has to be done in terms of responsibilities, right? So this is also by no means all of the list. There was like 50 of them, but we have to just reduce it to this. That way it is doable for tonight. All right, so we are looking at some of the six-figure job roles, and now we've seen that six-figure job roles, they are not necessarily only intermediate or advanced levels. Entry-level roles, like the ones that we saw, they were just 3. All those, you can also start hitting 6 figures with those ones, right? But like I keep saying, I don't think you should pick any security job that is below 6 figures, early 6 figures, like 100K, right, and up, right? Now, if you pick something 95, 90, that is fine, but don't pick anything. I know one guy talked to me, I think, a while ago. He had CISSP. He was a security manager in one company in DC. He was making 60K, and I just told him outright he was crazy, right? He was of the view that he was just starting off, so he needed to just get his feet into with CISSP, you don't have to take anything below 100K. Now, unless of course you don't have the knowledge and skill to back your CISSP, or you don't have the knowledge and skill in whatever role you are in, then you might be forced to take a huge pay cut because you think you are going to learn on the job, right? But if you know what you are doing, for the most part, you shouldn't be taking that huge pay cut. There is money to be spent. I keep saying that because I've seen it. I've been on different boards. I've seen some budgets, right? There's a lot of money to be spent, because on the flip side, if the company gets breached, they are going to spend times 100, or even like 1,000 times what they are going to give any security professional within the next like year or two. So they'll rather, not get breached and spend all that money, but give you just a little bit of it, to stay on the right side of security. So we are going to look at security architect. What does a security architect do in terms of responsibility? We've listed it here. We're not going to go really through all of it line by line, but mostly for you to figure out, for anybody who is looking to get into the job market, start applying for jobs, right? When most people approach us and say, hey, I'm not successful, applying for jobs on the job market, I've not had any interviews, and you ask them one simple question: what job titles are you looking for, or what job roles are you looking to fill? And they are all over the place. They don't know, right? They just want any job title. Now that is just a big recipe for disaster. So you are just, you just want to do anything. You cannot do anything. You have to know exactly what you want to do, right? So you should know your skill sets in terms of your knowledge and skill, what roles you can apply that to, that you can function effectively within that role, right? So don't tell me any job title. Then when you mention, okay, so can you be a penetration tester? No, I can't really do that. Okay, can you be a cybersecurity engineer? They don't even know what a cybersecurity engineer does, right? But they think they've taken some training. Now they can do anything, so they're applying for any job. That, if you do that, you are not going to be very successful, right? So you have to know, if you want to apply for jobs or you want to get any cybersecurity role, you have to be a student of the industry, and that is not hard. Just, if you go to these job sites, hopefully we'll have time to go through maybe one of them. The job sites, if you see a cybersecurity analyst, don't assume you just automatically know what the cybersecurity analyst is supposed to do. Now you have a point of reference. You can always go to NIST 800-181 to look at the tax that has to, like the tax that the cybersecurity analyst is going to do, and the knowledge and skill needed to perform that tax. If your training has, if the training that you had covered most of it, then okay, I'm good for this one. So now you have it written down. For security analyst, you are more than qualified to do security analyst. Maybe information assurance analyst. You also look that up. Okay, they have this skill sets. These are the tasks you're going to do within that. These are the skill sets you need. Maybe I have 5 out of that. I have to polish up on the last 2, right? So now, if you are, complaining about not getting a job, or you need help, and you tell me, okay, I think I can do a security analyst, information security manager, cybersecurity architect, right? Then we can start a conversation, right? So before you even start applying, don't just apply for any job, right? Unless, of course, you know exactly what your skill sets are and what you can apply for and what you can do, right? Because if you just apply for, let's say, a security manager, and they don't even do interviews and they just give you the job, can you really do it? That is what you should ask yourself, right? Now, so based on the job description, you're also going to be able to learn more about the job and what it entails. Still having the NIST 800-181, at the back of your, your toolbox, right? So you can always refer to that and bounce that off on what employers are looking for, right? So that is why it is important for us to go through some of these job titles. So security architects, they are the ones who will lay the foundation or the design for the whole entire infrastructure when it comes to your security infrastructure, right? So they cover governance, risks, compliance, identity and access management, cryptography, name it, they cover everything, right? So for you to be able to function as a security architect, you need to have a good working knowledge in all areas, right? Now let's move on into security manager. So information security manager, your job is going to be 70% management and probably 30% typical cybersecurity stuff, right? And even with the 30%, you are going to be overseeing others doing it. So you have to know what they are doing to be able to see whether they are BSing or they're actually doing what they're supposed to be doing, right? So for folks, for everybody on here, that is why I keep stressing on you should know what job titles to go for, right? So you are brand new, you want to switch into cybersecurity. Reason why most of our students are successful is that once you are ready for the job market, we package you as a very comprehensive package, if I want to put it that way. And what do I mean by that? So let's say you've been working in your current job role, which you've had for the past 5 years. You were a manager, or you've been doing an additional role as a manager of some sort, right? So you have a lot of good managerial skills. You have great interpersonal skills. You have good communication skills, presentation skills. You present to the C-suite. You have all these skill sets coming into cybersecurity. Now, why would you want to go for a cybersecurity architect role, which, quote or unquote, is very technical? But then you can also come down here and apply for a cybersecurity manager job, whereby 70% of the job is managerial, which you have already, right? And the 30% is having a good working knowledge, whereby people cannot BS you, right? And you can also oversee and advise based on, the technical knowledge that you have bringing into the job, right? So, but what is really going to help you here is more of your soft skills, your managerial skills than technical skills, right? And you can see then, like I always say, don't take my word for it. Once we're done, you can go to any of these job sites and type in information security manager. All the jobs that will, pop up, go through the job description, look at the skills that they are looking for. You see that 70% or 65% of the skills they are looking for is more soft skills than, so if they have a list of 10, almost 6 of it will be soft skills. So good presentation skills, good managerial skills, team player skills. And then the rest, they will list maybe a few typical technical cybersecurity skills, right? So you have to know where you are going to look, or you are going to be more of a rock star than, where you are going to really find yourself in some deep waters, right? So choosing job titles is not necessarily only what you know or the training you've gone through, but also what you are bringing to the table from your previous industry that you were in, right? And mostly the most transferable ones, obviously soft skills, they play a very key role. So, and also if you're on here and you are in the group of quote or unquote, I don't want anything that is very technical. There are a lot of cybersecurity roles that are not very technical, and for me, technical definition is a bit different from how everybody will define it. But for me, everything in cybersecurity is technical, right? But most folks, they think if you don't need coding, like it's the coding and all those areas that are technical, right? But any simple cybersecurity concepts or knowledge is not common to everybody. So it's still a technical knowledge, right? Now, what I'm trying to say is there are a lot of 6-figure cybersecurity jobs that are very, very untechnical, right? An example, if you've been in training or you've been a school teacher or you've been a teacher for years, the cybersecurity side, there is security awareness training. It's a full-blown industry on its own, right? So all you need is understand a little bit of the technical side, phishing attacks, forms of attacks, vulnerabilities and stuff, and you'll be able to train others on it, right? So now you are just tapping back straight into what you know and what you're comfortable with the new knowledge that you found, right? So there are a lot of non-technical jobs out there. Now you have to dig deep and know exactly what you are looking for, right? So maybe in our next cyber chats, not this very coming one, we might probably go through some of the very non-technical ones that everybody can, easily apply to, and, based on the skill sets you are bringing to the table, you'll be pre-qualified for it before you even, actually get the job, right? So now let's move into penetration testing. For this area, it is very, very technical, right? It involves you to know coding. It involves you to know how to do a lot of research. And most people think penetration testing is very sexy. So I want to be a pen tester. Well, if you're a pen tester, guess what your typical day is going to be? Aside just doing some pen testing, actually trying to hack into systems, before the actual hacking happens, there's a lot of research. So you have to research, try and error, a lot of try and error. And once you have like gone through and completed, your whole entire activity of trying to break into the system and it worked or it didn't work, you'll be stuck writing reports all day long and weeks long, right? So you have to also know or love how to write. You have to love report writing and doing research and going through a lot of try and errors to be a pen tester, right? So it's not all fun. And please mute yourselves. Okay, muted. Right. So for pen testing, it's very technical. That is like what I would say. So technical in terms of you have to know coding and you have to know a lot of programming languages as well. So Bash, Ruby, Python, you have to at least know how to write some scripts to be successful in this area. Now, there are a lot of automated penetration testing tools out there that you can use, but to be a real pen tester and a really good one at that, you have to know, at least be able to, come up with some scripts of your own, right? Because you're going to get stuck at a point in time and you have to be able to, do things manually, right? So now let's move into incident response manager. Still one of the quote or unquote non-technical job titles here as well, right? So this managerial side is going to be heavy, but then your incident response knowledge and skill is also going to really set you apart. And to be able to really go, almost everybody on here has done some incident response in their industry once or twice or so many times. But if we don't talk to you and tell us what you did, and for us to show you the security side of it or the cybersecurity side of it, you might think you don't even know what incident response is in cybersecurity. But I can assure you, you've done something on those lines, right? So if you've done, you maybe probably like wherever you find yourself, you've done some incident response that is not cybersecurity related, but still incident response, and you also have some managerial skills. Now you just need maybe probably 10% or 15% of cybersecurity technical knowledge, and you'll be able to function in such a job, right? So all that I've been saying all this time is you have to be able to leverage what you have to be able to easily move into the cyberspace, making 6 figures. And there's a lot of opportunity and there's a lot of areas there that you can really leverage yourself right into. So cybersecurity consultant, you need to be all-rounded within this role. You need to have good working knowledge in different areas, but you are not necessarily going to be doing the digging, right? You are probably going to be telling, or most at times going to be telling people what to do based on your experience and your knowledge, right? So if you have been doing consulting work, it's very easy to transition into this area if you gain some cybersecurity knowledge and skill enough for you to be able to advise people on what they have to do. Threat intelligence analysis, also within this space, a little bit also technical, right? Similar to, so all these are on the side of, forensics and pen testing, and all those areas are quote unquote what people will term as technical, right? So on this side, if you've been in security for a while and you love the technical side so much, you can easily also apply yourself on this side. Well, so for the job titles, I think we just ended there, right? And for career path, we we looked at the original one from Cyberseek. For Eretmis, for us, our career path, we have the foundation, you know, upon which you are going to be able to spring into other career or other areas within the security space. Now, I'm just going to briefly touch on some of the major areas, right? Most folks think that the GRC side of security is the most easiest and non-technical, and you can easily is yes and no, right? If you don't want to do coding, you don't want to do any of that, pen testing, forensics, you don't want to do anything on the offensive side, yes, GRC will be the good alternate. On the defensive side, yeah, GRC is a very good area to start off with, right? But now, mind you, within the GRC space, you have to also be all-rounded. So you have to have a good working knowledge of all the major areas within security to be able to function, especially either you are doing governance or risks, or you are doing compliance, right? All the compliance frameworks that are out there, PCI, HIPAA, FESMA, name it, they all touch on all areas of cybersecurity. So tell me how you are going to be code or non-code, non-technical, because you don't want to have a good working knowledge in networking or a good working knowledge in cryptography, but you want to do compliance. How are you going to audit, or how are you going to help a company stay in compliance with something that you don't know how it works or functions? And so you don't have to be an expert in any of these areas, all the major areas, but you have to have a good working knowledge. That is what I always keep stressing on, right? Good working knowledge, right? Now, when it comes to the specific job titles, like I said, don't get too hung up on job titles. You can be in one company doing one thing in a certain job title, and somebody in a different company will be doing the same thing with a different job title, right? So mostly when you are looking at the job that you want to apply for, look at the job description, right? That is going to help you really assess yourself based on, you know, what you know and what you don't know, to be able to see if you're a good fit for that, right? Now, for I think for one of these cyber chats, we will do a job placement assistant where we will actually dive deep into the job applications and also reading job descriptions, right? And figuring out what they are really asking, you know, because some of the stuff on there, you might just look at it face value. But if we dig more into it, you see exactly, you know, what they are looking for, and know that you can either do it or you have to pass on that one. And also how to choose jobs is also a big one, right? So like I was saying, don't just apply for any job because you think it's a cybersecurity job, so you are just applying, and most of the stuff on there, you have no idea or no clue, you know, what it's all about, right? So for us at Eretmis, if you are on here and you've not taken our free course, any of our free courses, Cybersecurity for Beginners, it's a very good intro course. I think it's like almost 2 to 3 hours long. It gives you a really solid background into cybersecurity. And we also have the PCI DSS for Beginners for folks who are already in security, who wants to get into the PCI space. PCI for Beginners is also, you know, something that you can take. And for even if you're already in security, I bet you, if you take our Cybersecurity for Beginners, you are going to learn something new. If you don't learn anything new from our Cybersecurity for Beginners, the free course, I'll give you $50 back, right? But then I'm going to quiz you on some of the stuff in there and see whether you really paid attention, or if you knew, or you are just trying to take the $50, right? So for our paid courses, our Cybersecurity entry-level course is the course that is going to really, with no background, it can move you from where you are to where you can start working, making 6 figures in the security space, right? So it's from entry level to borderline, mid-level, intermediate level, right? So folks who finish this course, some start working as intermediate level security professionals. So the entry level comes with internship. It comes with hands-on training where you work on with tools, and we really, you know, try to expose you to a lot of cybersecurity projects that you are going to encounter on the job. And then it also comes to job placement assistance as well, where we help you with, preparing for the job market and interviewing and stuff, right? Now we have other certification courses like CISA, CISSP, and the rest, but those are certification courses. This course focuses on what you are going to do on the job, right? Certification courses, they focus on you passing the certification. And once you're done passing the certification, that is it, right? So, and also with our PCI DSS course, we have 2 PCI DSS courses, the expert and the specialist. The expert and the specialist, the difference, expert takes 4 months of training and 2 months of internship. Specialist is 3 months of training and 1 month of internship, right? And for both of them, specialists, you are going to work as an implementer in an organization that has to stay in compliance. With the expert, you can work the same job as a special. You can do the same thing that a specialist would do, but then also you're also going to learn PCI DSS audits as well, right? That is the addition that makes the difference between the two, right? So, and also within that course, we take you through the cybersecurity crash course. So for folks who've gone through that, we take you through a crash course. And we don't recommend the PCI DSS to anybody who is a newbie to cybersecurity or IT, right? It's really not going to help. Most of the stuff are going to be way over your head. Even though we start off with a crash course, you can always start with our cybersecurity for cybersecurity entry-level course, right? So, and also for folks who just came in a bit later, we are doing a 30% promotion for Memorial Day, right? So it was for all our veterans and then also extended to everybody else as well, right? So, and our new PCI class will be starting on the 20th of June. That is the live session. So for PCI, we do live sessions. You also have access to the online version of the course as well, right? So the online version, you can start that at any time, but then when there's a live session, we will move you into the live session as well, right? So now we are going to wrap it up for questions from everybody. If you have, okay, so Jason, you can go ahead, Jason.
Greetings, Doc, from in Japan. So
yeah,
an issue that I encountered was that most job postings aren't really done by people who know anything about the requisites. So it's just HR scanning or asking ChatGPT as best to just give you this description. So it has nothing to do with what the actual job is. How do we deal with that?
Okay, so really good question, Jason. I've encountered like this is a really big issue, right? And within the security space, educators and security players is being a problem, right? Job posts and what exactly is required of you when you get on the job. Now, there have been instances where students will go for interviews and maybe the job post was cybersecurity analyst, right? And they had just the normal stuff for cybersecurity analyst. Now you get to the interview and it's totally different, right? What they are asking you is probably you are wondering whether this is like a network engineer position that you're applying for that you didn't know, right? So, and that is no fault of yours or even like the person doing the interview, right? Mostly, like you are saying, HR will just pick or just copy from elsewhere and then post it. Because if your company, maybe the company you are going to work for, although you're going to be a security analyst, but the job description, what they have you do is more geared towards what a security engineer will do, right? If somebody just copies it because of the job title, then you find yourself in such issues. So, but on average, what I would say is for such job, for like job posts, mostly if you are very comfortable with almost like 40% of what is listed, go for it, right? One, you are not going to know everything in the job description. Two, you are not going to do everything in the job description on the job, right? And how do we know whether, what they have listed on there is 90% exactly what they are looking for on the job? So at least they have posted something. So if you can do 40% of it, that is my advice to everybody. Apply for the job, go for the interview. Like, what is the worst that can happen? We are moving on, right? Nobody's going to slap you through the phone. They are just going to say we are moving on with somebody else. But at least now you've tested the waters, you know. And what I also advise everybody is that the interviewing process is part of the training. It's part of you learning about the industry, right? So if you are really scared about interviewing, you are not really going to learn anything, and you know you are not any closer to landing your cybersecurity job or GRC job or whatever job that you are looking for. So interview for fun. Even when you do land a job, still continue to interview for fun, because it's a way to learn about the industry. Frankly, if you don't interview and you are stuck just, you know, in wherever you are working as, you know, whatever role, you wouldn't really know what is going on. So how you'll be able to overcome, you know, job postings that might not be accurate is that if you can do 40% or even 30% of what is on there, just go for it, right? Prepare with that job description, because that is all you got, right? And then if you go to the interview and it's what exactly maybe HR in this instance was right, they did the right thing, then you know you are in a better place, right? So but roughly, maybe on average, from what I've seen, almost most of the times, almost 70 to 80% of what HR posts will be, you know, maybe 80% accurate, right? There are very few times where it is totally like two different, they are like going two different, like, or like two different directions, right? So at least sometimes they'll get some of it right, because I mean, most of the job titles, most of the things you are going to be doing are similar, right? So hopefully that answers your question, Jason.
Thank you, Doc.
Yes.
Yeah,
go
good
ahead,
evening.
Ifeoma. Yes, good evening.
Yeah, thank you for the class. Okay, I wanted to find out, sir, how do I access the 30% discount? Because I'm on the website and I want to pay for the entry level, but I'm not seeing the 30% discount.
Oh, the
Is there a
30%
code?
is, yeah, the coupon code is a so we are going to post it in the Memorial 30. So
Oh,
Memorial, like 30, right? In the coupon code, if you put that in there, it's going to
Oh,
reduce
thank you.
by 30%.
All right, thank you for the discount. Grateful.
Yes. And the next person in there is Mean. I mean, Mean is the what you have on there. Sorry, your name wasn't on there. Go ahead, please.
Hi, just well, let me start with the 30% discount. Is that for the?
Oh, sorry. Please unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Were you able to hear the first part that I asked?
So you're asking if the 30% was for something.
Yeah, the payment part also, because I tried to do the payments and it didn't go through.
Oh, so the 30% is for if you are doing like installment payment, it's not going to apply.
Okay, so it's just for paying full. Okay,
Yes.
so now, all right. So my questions was, I think I might have missed something. I just want some clarity. You said that the GRC is going to be a part of everything. You covered that in all the training, or is that just a certain part of the training, certain one of the cybersecurity entry level?
Okay, so you know, mostly when people are like, I want to go into GRC, right? You like GRC is broad. So which area in GRC do you want to go into, right? Do you want to do like compliance? Do you want to do risks or just governance, or both, or all of it, right? Mostly you're going to be doing all of it. Now, still focusing on specific frameworks. My point that I was trying to make is that for you to be able to work in any role in GRC, you have to have a very solid foundation in cybersecurity. And that is what the entry level is going to give you, right? We have some students who finish, they will find themselves doing like Michael, who came in last week, I think. Michael is a GRC analyst. He has 2 jobs now, doing both GRC. All he took was the entry level course, right? We have Noah. Noah is a third-party risk management analyst in his job. The job title that got him the job was a security analyst. Right now, all he's doing is third-party risk management. He took the entry-level course, right? So with a very solid background and also the internship, the projects that you get exposed to, we are, the only thing that you cannot do is pen tester, right? That we are not pen tester, forensics. You wouldn't be able. You have to get additional training for that, right? But for anything on the blue side, name it, any job role, you'll be able to function in there effectively.
Okay, so the cybersecurity entry level will be the best starting point to really cover a broad range of the cybersecurity, any kind of cybersecurity employment.
Yes.
And PCI DSS is not recommended until you get that cybersecurity part down. You know it, like you know it really good before you move into that?
Yes. So if you are a total beginner in IT, in cybersecurity, I wouldn't encourage you to get into PCI, right? Because your goal is not to become a PCI DSS subject matter expert. Your goal is to become a cybersecurity professional, right? A PCI person is a cybersecurity professional. Now, if you don't have a very strong foundation and you just get into PCI, we are going to go over most of the stuff, and maybe I'm just going to leave it to some of the PCI students on here to speak to this, right? From what they've gone through so far, if you don't have a solid working knowledge in cybersecurity, how well are you going to do in PCI, right? I'm not really sure. So maybe if somebody else is teaching PCI or other framework elsewhere and they are telling you it's very easy, simple, you just do ABC, it doesn't really work that way, right? Because there's a lot of things that is going to be thrown at you. And if you don't have a good working knowledge, and you don't have to be an expert in everything, but you at least you have to have a good working knowledge. An example, if a company gives you their network diagram or their data flow diagram, you should be able to look at it and understand exactly what is going on, right? But if you don't, or like if they give you like their vulnerability scan report, and you are looking at all these ports and numbers and they look like Greek to you, right? Because you don't have a working knowledge in cybersecurity, it becomes something very, big. But really, if you do, it's really nothing, right? So the entry-level course is really going to set the foundation for you. Now, from there, if you want to jump into PCI, into any other area of security, the sky is going to be your starting point.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, because I want to be more on the auditing side. I want to be more on that side.
Yes. So that is going to help you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I think there was also another hand up.
Yes, Alexander.
Yeah, go ahead, Alison.
Yeah, my quick question. The hands-on, how many times a week is it? How many days a week?
For
The
which of
hands-on.
the courses?
The hands-on.
Just a cybersecurity hands-on training?
Well, I want to do the entry level.
Okay.
And you said the hands-on is part of it, correct?
Yes.
How many days a week is the hands-on?
Oh, okay. So let me break that down for you. So the hands-on is part of the entry level. I'm not sure if you are referring to so let me just explain the entry level more. So this is how we have set up the entry level. The entry level, the first, like the main course is self-paced, right? So you are going to go through all the content, video lessons, lesson notes, and then you can always, the one-on-one sessions that we have for the entry level is by appointment. So we do one-on-one, so you choose the time and date on our calendar, and then we meet on Zoom. We discuss any problems and questions, and if you need any help, right? So as you are going through that course, so the hands-on portion, we expose you to the tools. So we walk you through how to build your own cybersecurity lab, right? So what I'm trying to say is for the first portion of the training, we don't do live sessions. Live sessions are individual basis, right? We don't do group sessions. Now, once you're done and you move into the internship, with the internship, we do live sessions on Saturday mornings, right? So like folks on here, we will be doing internship tomorrow. So we meet, discuss projects that we are working on for the internship. You and your team will go work on it during the week. And then we meet again on the next Saturday. We discuss it, you go work on it, right? So we work on different projects. For the cohort meetings, that will be after you've gone through the main body of the course, right? And during the main body of the course, if you need help, it's not in groups, it's on individual basis, right? And there's no limit to how many times you can reach out for us to do one-on-one. Even if you have to take you through a whole entire lesson, yeah, that is still done, right? So that is how it is set up.
Oh, okay. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome, Alexander. I think Michael. Go ahead, Michael.
Hi, thank you for hosting. Two quick questions. One, you were talking about certifications and job openings per certification. Would you say that the fewer job openings equates to a less sought after certification, or does it just matter of what a company individually needs?
So yes, for both. You know, like how we really look at it, is the glass half full or is it half empty, right? So sometimes, if like for certifications that not much people, like an example, if you take Security Plus and CISSP, right? Some jobs wouldn't need CISSP, but they will need Security Plus. But if you have CISSP, it's a plus, right? Big plus, right? In other places, and in general, there are more people who have CISSP, who have a Security Plus than CISSP, right? Like we saw in that list. So it means the ones that less people have, they are harder to get, right? So if you have it, it makes you look better. But then on the flip side of certifications is this, having the certification, what most people forget is you are the certification, not the piece of paper you are holding. And what I mean by that is certifications, they come with weights, and the weights in this instance, what I'm trying to say about weight is the weight is the knowledge and skill that comes with the certification. So if you have the certification, you better make sure you have the knowledge and skill that comes with it, right? Because if you just go parading around CISSP and we ask you kindergarten cybersecurity questions and you're all over the place, CISSP is an advanced cybersecurity certification, right? So you have to make sure you are coming with that. So if you have that, then obviously the real ones that you get, the more competitive you become, right? Because there are some contracts. So for companies that bid for contracts, government contracts and federal, some contracts require the company to have maybe 3 CISSPs, right? Or maybe 3 Security Plus. So if they need 3 CISSPs and you have a CISSP, obviously they have no option but to take you, right? And those contracts, they wouldn't require CISSP and Security Plus. Is either CISSP, if they have, like, if they want a Security Plus, more people have Security Plus. So, you know, there are, like the market is very open, right? But if it's just CISSP, the market becomes a bit narrower, right? Let's say they want CISSP and CISA, and you have both. Now your chances are even way better than, and then also in terms of compensation, it's going to go up, right? So go ahead, Alexander.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but on another point, you and somebody else in the chat, I believe his name was Frank, pointed out something that was very interesting. I actually went through a PCI DSS course. I come from an anti-money laundering, fraud, basically regulatory compliance background. I'm very good at the auditing. I used to work for Discover Financial. I've done a few internal auditing, systems testing, so I thought PSI would be right up my alley. And I ended up doing very good on the course. But as you just pointed out, I noticed when I was looking at certain things, I was like, what the hell am I looking at? So, you know, I understand if I'm looking at a port and I'm comparing it to a company's diagram, okay, well, this system's talking to this system through this port's supposed to be closed. I did pretty good at that. But in a lot of other areas, I was looking at Greek, you pointed out. So even though I did good in the course, there's just this huge gap between my knowledge and what I can apply. And I actually reached out to, on one of your YouTube channels, you had information with an email to a David, and he never got back to me. So I'm very happy to be talking to you now. If I wanted to kind of fill in that gap, and I do not have an IT background, I have a compliance background, would you say going into the internship and the PSI course is the way to go? Or do you think I still need to go through the cybersecurity to get a grip on the gap, because I'm kind of in a limbo land where it's like, well, I either go back to AML to get a job, or I try and push through and hope I can do good at PCI.
Mm-hmm. So yes, I'm very glad you brought that up, right? Because for us, me specifically, I keep preaching about this. Cybersecurity is PCI DSS is a niche within cybersecurity. It's not a standalone thing that you can do on its own, right? So like the example that I always give is like you want to learn engineering in French. You have to understand French first before you move into learning engineering. Now, if you think understanding French is, really waste of your time, you can just jump straight into engineering and you'll be fine. That's good. You'll be learning math equations and everything, but then the language that it is being used to teach you math equations and quadratic equations will be in French. And if you don't have a good working knowledge in French, you see or understand what is going on, but really when it comes to practice or implementing it, you see that you are lacking a lot. And what you are lacking is not because you don't know engineering, but it's simply because you didn't understand French to begin with, right? And once you understand French, you see that, this is nothing. It's really very simple and easy, right? So what I would advise is I will get a solid cybersecurity background, a working knowledge in cybersecurity. And now when you get that and you come back to PCI, you see that a lot of it now makes sense. Everything falls in place and you can work in any PCI role in any company and be very confident about what you are doing, right? So as it stands now, I would advise you to go for the cybersecurity entry-level course rather than PCI, because you've done PCI already, right? Even though in
and
our
like
PCI
you said,
class, go ahead.
Sorry, but yeah, like you said, ironically, I did well. I definitely understood, okay, sources of vulnerability. A lot of it still was up my alley of compliance. But then, yeah, once you start looking at the scoping of things, there's like, what the hell is scoping? What am I doing here? It's like, I'm going to end up testifying because I passed something that shouldn't have passed. So,
yes.
Okay.
So
you entry-level cybersecurity is what you're.
Yes, that will be what I will recommend, because with that, now you are going to go through full-blown cybersecurity, finish that, get into the internship, work on different projects, right? So when you like, even before you finish, now you see that when you go back and you take the PCI like requirements and you are going through, they all start to make sense now.
Is there someone that I can contact with Eretmis about this for a little bit more conversation?
Okay, so I will put my email. I'll put my email in here, right? Contact me directly, and
thank you very much.
Talk.
And thanks everyone. I apologize for asking so much.
No, you're good. Michael.
Okay, hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Ebenezer.
Hey, Ebenezer, go ahead, Eben.
Great. So the payment card industry is big in the United States because of the kind of economy that's they run. Would you recommend this course for somebody in a smaller economy like, let's say, Ghana, if the person wants to pursue a course in the PCI DSS? Would you recommend such a thing for somebody in a smaller economy compared to that of the United States?
Yes. So even within the smaller economy, companies still have to stay in compliance with PCI DSS, right? So in Ghana, there are a lot of companies now who are taking credit card and debit cards, right? And all these companies, they have to stay in compliance. There are banks who are issuing these cards. They also have to stay in compliance, right? So if you go to the PCI's website and you check the QSA companies, select by country, you see, I think for most of the companies on there, they are for like Africa, not just by country. So you see like a couple of them on there. So that shows you that, yes, regardless of the economy, companies, they still, because there are a lot of corporate bodies in Ghana as well, and elsewhere in the world. So yes, you can still do PCI. And so like I was saying, are you looking at it as the glass is half empty or half full? So if in a place like Ghana, right? You get into PCI way early than everybody. Cybersecurity is still kind of in the infancy. You'll be one of the pioneers or like one of the people who are going to spearhead this, and you can set up shop, right? Now you are going to be the go-to or the subject matter expert there, not just for one company, but probably if you're able to sell yourself well, it's going to be like a full-blown business, not just you getting unemployment.
Right. So going forward, you suggest that you do the cybersecurity course first, the basic entry cybersecurity course before you jump into the PCI DSS.
Yes. So the cybersecurity entry level course is not a basic course. It takes you it'll take you deeper than basic. It takes you way beyond the basics, deep down into the ocean. So you are going to be well equipped whenever you are done with that, and you'll be able to function anywhere. I mean, people finish that and they start working, making 100 and plus. So it's not just some introductory course. Yes, but you go through the entry level course first if you have no background, and then you can jump into PCI.
Okay, right. Thank you very much.
Okay, go ahead, Vincent.
Well, thank you, Dr. Adu. I just wanted to pivot back real quick to something you mentioned earlier about the PCI class. I think it's okay to just say, I'm talking for the benefit of everyone because I've told you this before personally. I think it's okay to say, aside from things being complicated when you get started, you need the foundation of cybersecurity, like at least, even if you don't take the certification, you need to have gone through Security Plus, because there are things you're teaching us, like you just gave an example, like, hey, you're showing us how to run a scan and we're running scans and certain ports are open. If you don't have the foundation to know why a port should not be open or why it shouldn't be closed, it just makes it a lot harder. So for anyone looking to join the PCI class, I'm talking now as a presently enrolled student in the PCI class, go study Security Plus. You don't have to necessarily take the exam if you're not keen about the certification, but you need that foundation. And one more thing I would also like to add when you were talking about the jobs, these jobs are very available, but I think it's also important so we don't set people up the wrong way to say interviews are very subjective. You could go through 1,000 interviews just to land one role. So if you don't get it the first time, second time, sometimes you'll get offers that are beneath what you're looking for. I think it's important to say, hey, the jobs are there. This is a very lucrative field, but please, it could get very overwhelming sometimes. You just have to hang in there like I've been doing, and hopefully something will come. But yes, you'll go for interviews where you think you've done well and they just would send you that email you don't want to get. So for everyone looking to come on board too, is the same thing. So that's just all I wanted to say. Thank you for what you do, sir.
All right, thank you, Vincent. So just to add to what Vincent was talking about, right? Now, if it was easy to get a 100K job as a cybersecurity professional, everybody would have been a cybersecurity professional making 100K. What I'm trying to say is the jobs are there, but they are not going to give it to you on a silver platter, right? You have to work for it. And you might go to interviews that you think you did so well, but you doing so well or not doing so well is also subjective. Within yourself, if you know you did super, super well, and they come back to you and they say they are moving on, that's fine. Just move on to the next job, right? Mostly what our advice is, when you apply for one job or you get 1 or 2 interviews, don't really be too attached to it, like emotional, right? If you did so well on the interview, pretend the interview never happened. That way you don't get like super disappointed. Now, there are a lot of politics also coming into these interviews, right? Yeah. I've been on some interview boards where a lady was interviewing a candidate who was going to be her boss, right? Now, obviously, there were like 5 people she was interviewing, and she was going to score. There are other folks who were on the panel who are also going to score this, like the people that we are interviewing. Now, everybody was, well, I mean, you don't have any vested interest, so you are scoring based on the competency of the people you are interviewing, right? Now, the lady's score was going to be the determining factor whether you get employed or not. Guess who the lady scored the highest? The guy who knew very little. Because she wanted somebody that she could not necessarily control, but somebody who is not going to give her a hard time. Right? Because if she picks somebody who is like super competent and knew a lot, because she didn't know that much, right? But she found herself in that role. So you go to this interview and, you know, with all guns blazing, you know, you did amazing. Everybody says you did well, but you don't get picked, right? And you are like, I mean, what happened? Well, some internal politics is going on because somebody is probably going to, because, and also if I'm the one interviewing you, you are going to be working under me, and I see you are too smart for my liking, and you're not trying to hide it. You are just, you know, all guns blazing. I think if Frank is here, Frank went to an interview like that where he was the one literally schooling the security manager on privacy policies and the current ones and the ones that are coming up and the ones in Europe. And when he was done and he told me about it, I'm like, I don't think that is going to work out.
You're not gonna get it.
Yeah, and they moved on with somebody else. And I can tell you on authority, nobody in those interviews did better than Frank or even came close. But they didn't
Frank
move him
will
forward.
be a pain.
Yeah, because he came too much, you know, with all guns blazing, teaching people that he was going to work under what security was about. And they were asking him, okay, so what about this? We didn't think this was up. He was so current, they didn't move on with him, right? So sometimes you have to find a balance between not showing, like not displaying too much and not also, you know, making it look like you don't know what you are about, right? So it's a fine, but as you do interviews, you'll be able to pick up on those as well, right? So, but sometimes you are lucky, you know, all things being equal, you go to the interview, they are looking for somebody who is very good, you are very good, they pick you, and then that's it. Other times, a lot of things go into it. Some interviews you go and the next day they send you an email, hey, we are not moving on with the position anymore because we don't have the money to fund it. Right. So many things. That is why you just have to, it's a game of numbers, right? You just have to keep applying and doing the interviews. You are learning in the process. So look at it more as a learning process than, so if they end up giving you a job, that is a big plus. And eventually you are going to get a job, right? But if you don't go through the bad interviews, you're not going to get the good ones, right? So one key thing here is not how well you know your stuff, but it's your persistence, right? Persistence and not giving up. Like I'm saying, they are going to pay you 100 and something. So I don't think you are going to, if you just do 2 interviews and you get 100 and something job, everybody would have had it, right? So, and it's also, the harder it is for you, the more you are learning and the better you are going to become on the other side, right? So the jobs are there, right? Here at the Eretmis, we make sure that the knowledge and skill portion is not part of your headache. So if you really invest yourself and your time into what you are being taught, the knowledge and skill part is going to be easy peasy, right? Now, the part that you have to worry about will be polishing up your interviewing skills and then also trying to really fine tune where not to really display too much or where not to display too little, right? Fine tuning, that is going to be what you're going to be playing around with. But we are coming up with something that I probably wouldn't want to announce too early, but we are kind of, you know, putting together kind of like an interviewing club where it's going to be just a pool of, you know, folks who, if like you are in PCI and you are done, there's a whole library, you know, that you can go into with your PCI folks with previous interviews and, you know, the job descriptions and, you know, what they asked in those interviews and stuff like that, right? So we are still putting that together. And we think, frankly, with the training you are getting, if you have that in addition, you wouldn't go to more than 4 interviews. Okay. All right, Eben, go ahead.
Yeah, this is the last question. Cybersecurity and the job opportunities it offers, it's all sounds so sexy. But what I want to find out is that, is age a factor? Assuming I'm 60 years and I think that it is an opportunity for me to take advantage and be able to do the 6-figure. Where I come from, when you are 60 years, you have to go on retirement. If at that age I want to pursue cybersecurity, is it a dead end for me because of my age, or the opportunities are still there and I can tap into it?
Okay, so yes, age is not really a big factor, right? Mostly I look at cybersecurity kind of like law, how you look at law. I mean, if you still want to practice, there is no retirement age for a lawyer, right? If you can get up and walk and go to court, there is no retirement, age, right? So same thing here. Whether within cybersecurity, you can choose to be a consultant, you can choose to work in a company, right? You can choose to set up your own company, right? So there are so many things that you can do within the cyberspace. So age really shouldn't be a limiting factor, whether young or old, right? Depends on what you really want to do, right? So age really isn't a limiting factor from like what I've seen so far.
All right, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. So I think there were some questions in here. So I think for Mr. Walden, we can talk offline for your question, or I can go ahead and answer that. So if you are in the PCI class already, and you're thinking about the entry level, I'll say let's just finish the PCI, right? There will be something for you on the backside. And I think like with the PCI, we are doing for your class, we are doing the crash course now, right? So yes, I mean, once we get over and we are moving into PCI actual, there will be some resources that we can give you on the side for us to polish you up on, right? So yes, but we can talk more offline. And I think there are some, okay, everything else on here is, okay, great. I appreciate everybody's time. So the link for the Memorial Day sale has been posted in there. And I think there was one question. What class can you become a GRC professional? Okay, Ruth. So for GRC professional, like I was saying earlier, maybe probably Ruth asked this before, the title GRC professional, a lot goes into it, right? So you have to get a solid foundation in cybersecurity to be able to function as a GRC professional. Right? So our entry-level course is still going to be able to help you to get there. So I appreciate everybody's time. I think we've done almost 2 hours. Very interesting conversation. Next week, we will see if we'll probably be able to, go on this same line and bring more stuff for us to talk about in terms of now we can go deep into just GRC or go deep into the analyst side or the SOC side and look into those areas as well, right? So the goal of this is to encourage you to make sure to let you know it is possible and also to educate you more on different avenues and also different career paths that you can take, right? So for everybody who is looking to break into it, like I said earlier, start taking stock of your current skill sets in terms of soft skills. And how you'll be able to do that is if you start searching through jobs, cybersecurity jobs, and looking at the job description and the soft skill side that they are looking for, you see that you are bringing a lot to the table, right? So when a lot of folks talk about, I have zero cybersecurity experience, so how am I going to leverage that, or how am I going to apply for a job and say I have this number of years in cybersecurity? That is because you don't know everything that is needed for a cybersecurity job, right? It's not just the technical knowledge, the soft skills also play a key role, right? So if you are able to, if you are bringing a lot in terms of soft skills to the table and we are able to quantify that, we can package you and fit you anywhere in any cybersecurity role, right? So before we wrap it up, go ahead, Eric, and then we will wrap it up for tonight.
Hi, Doc. Just a quick question about our internship. Are we meeting tomorrow? If yes, and yes. I remember you promised some time ago that you're gonna raise the time to 1 hour later because for us in the West Coast, 6 o'clock in the morning is so too hard for us to comprehend. So please do something about it. Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, it's 9 Eastern time, but tomorrow we are meeting at 10 Eastern time. So it was going to be posted in the chat for everybody, right? So it's going to be 7 for you, Eric. You don't have to get
Okay,
up at
thank
6.
you. Okay, thank you, Doc. Have a good night.
Okay. All right, everyone. I appreciate everybody's time. I really appreciate everybody's time. Like I always say, it's Friday night. You could have been anywhere else, but you chose to be here to share knowledge with the whole family. We are going to meet again, God willing, next week, same time. And all classes and all other courses are also going to be, in effect from Monday. And interns, we are meeting tomorrow at 10. It's going to be posted. So have a great night, everyone. And we will meet again next week for Cyber Chats.
Thank you, Dr. Du. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Doc. Have a good night.
Thank you, Dr. Du. Thank you.